What's up, YouTube? This is Ultra Rai, and today we are going to talk about things that we can do to improve the game for Mortal Kombat 12 whenever it decides to release, right? So, the number one thing I think we need to do to improve this game is we need to go back to where the game's faster, right? We need to make strings faster, we need to make buttons faster, go back to where, there's 6 frame highs. Everyone has a 9-10 frame mid, right? No more of this. Your fastest mid is 15 frames. It slows the game down a lot, and it just is not fun. And it makes strings feel like they take forever to complete, right? Go back to MKX or some older MKs and you do strings. Let's say you did this string, it would be over way faster than it is here just because the moves came out faster. Also, we need to shorten combos. That doesn't mean that we need to make it so the combos aren't as many moves, but we do need to make it so when you combo someone, they're not in the air forever. And a lot of this has to do with the cameos, right? Let's say I didn't have a cameo as Lee May, right? My B&B would be something like this, right? Like that. Quick combo, over with, we're on. You get hit by that and you're like, okay, it's not that bad. Now we can play the wake-up game. The issue is, let's say I'm using Sub-Zero cameo, right? This becomes my B&B. And if you don't have breaker, you're eating all of this, right? Look how much longer that combo is. Like, it's just not fun. When you get hit and you gotta wait that long to play the game becomes unfun. The next thing I think we need to do is we need to make it so armors don't launch for combos, right? And a lot of that, again, has to do with the cameo system. Armor is good, but I feel like it's too good, right? So let's take MKX for example, right? Cassie Cage. Let's take Cassie Cage for example. She has EX Nut Punch. And MKX, this is an armor move, and all it does is it restands them and you get more plus frames, right? A perfect armor move, you don't get a guaranteed combo afterwards. Yes, you get pressure, but it's not, you get hit by this move and you're not eating a 50% combo. And you kind of need armor moves, right? Just by how the game is, because, there are gaps in strings. So you kind of need armor moves just to contest that. But that's a perfect example of what I would like to see from armor moves. Give them utility, but not make them overpowered, right? We're going to stay on MKX for a second just because it shows some things of what I'm talking about. One, I think we need to keep the 3-bar system from 9 and X, right? 1 move X-ray, 2 move breaker. 1 move EX move, 2 move breaker, and then 3 move X-ray. X-rays are better because you got to earn it, right? You got to earn your X-ray, and if you use your X-ray, then you have no breaker, right? So you have to decide, if you use your X-ray and then you get hit by a combo, you just literally wasted and you can't break out of it. X-ray moves were hype when someone hit him in tournament. When Scar would use Sonya and hit the parry X-ray for a 70% combo, it was one of the hypest things ever. No one gets hype seeing a fatal blow, right? And then you use it, and it doesn't matter if you whiff, it just comes right back. In Mortal Kombat, it used all your bar, so you had to risk it. Now, this wasn't viable for everyone, right? So it could use some tweaks or whatever, but it doesn't have to be viable for every character. Not every character has to play the same, and not every character has to be able to get X-ray every round. But when you get hit by an X-ray attack, it was cool. When you get hit by Fatal Blow, it's like, oh, damn, I get hit by Fatal Blow again. Now, they did improve Fatal Blows in 1 over 11, but they still need to go back to the old system, in my opinion. 2, let's make it so we can do combos without using meter, right? That costs no meter to do right there. I just did a combo, and that cost no meter, 22% damage, and you saw how quick that combo was? We need to go back to where we can just launch without using meter and get a combo. That way, we can save meters for important X-ray moves, right? So, perfect example with that combo. If I do this, right, I don't get as many plus frames. I do get a restand. But if I use the EX move, I now get more plus frames and a mix-up. That's a perfect example, and that move has armor like we described earlier, of a use of an EX move. EX moves don't have to be there to launch. EX moves can be there for utility. And that's just something that I would like to see across the board. Because I have to decide, right? If I want to build X-Ray, I can't really use the EX version of Nut Punch. Because if I do, then I'm not going to have X-Ray. Or I might not even have Breaker. If I have 2 bars and I hit them with a combo, I got to decide, do I want the plus frames? Or do I want to be able to break if they hit me? Made you make decisions, and I think overall, the 3-bar system was just the better system. The next thing I think we should do is I think we need to get rid of delayed wake up. I think you can have a wake up in spot and maybe a back row wake up, but we need to get rid of delayed wake up, and we need to make it so if you get knocked down, you're scared for your life. Now we went over, you'll have an armor move that you can risk, but if it gets blocked, you're getting a full combo punished. There's none of this waking up armor move, then making a safe because it gets blocked. You wake up with an armor move, it gets blocked, and you're getting punished. If you get knocked down and you have no meter, you're just going to eat whatever mix-up they have, strike throw game. It is what it is. You got hit and you got knocked down. We need to quit making the wake-up game so complicated in Mortal Kombat. I want to talk about counter hits. Now, this is something that I've always thought Mortal Kombat could benefit from, was moves that change properties on counter hit, right? Let's take Li Mei's back 2-4, for example, right? Let's say this didn't launch, and on hit, let's say it gave you a jailing situation, and on block, it was -7. It can stay -7, right? But if back 2 counter hits you, then the forward launch. That way, if I put you into a frame trap or I predict your movement, I get rewarded for hitting you. Now, this doesn't have to be every single move across the board. You get extra advantage off a counter hit, but I do think that it would be cool for certain moves. If on counter hit, they change properties. That's pretty common in most fighting games. And not one of those things that's a huge deal, but I just think that it would be cool and something that they could add. The last thing I'm going to talk about is zoning, and this is going to be controversial, but I think we need to bring good zoner back. We need to have 1 or 2 good zoners in the next Mortal Kombat game. And by good zoners, I mean someone like Centurion, someone like Centurion from MK11, and someone from like Freddy Krueger from MK9, where you had to use all of their kit to be a good zoner. And I'm not talking about Combat League, right? The issue with Combat League is 95% of people, they get zoned out by basic zoning, right? Including me. Newsflash, I'm not the best Mortal Kombat player in the world. So even I can get zoned out sometimes by not good zoning. But when you get to the top level, a good zoner, has to use all of his tools to be a good zoner. And by what I mean is Freddy Krueger and Centron, you had to use their whole kit to make them work at a high level. That's why there was only a couple good Centurions, Freddy Kruegers, and Kenshis, right? And MK9 also. There was only very few of them that were really good at the high level. Now, in Kombat League, everyone picked Centurion and MK11 and everyone picked Jade, and all they did was zone you out because most of us are not that good. But at the end of the day, you can't balance the game around people like us, right? Because it makes it dumbed down at higher levels. So, I think these things, or some of these things, will help the game and Mortal Kombat 12 when it comes out. If it does come out, I mean, it's going to come out, but who's going to buy Mortal Kombat? And it just depends, right? If you agree, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, let me know in the comments, right? I know some of my takes are going to be controversial. I love Mortal Kombat. I don't play Mortal Kombat 1 as much anymore, but we're going to be hosting a tournament, a seasonal tournament in my server. Feel free to join the server. It'll be in the description. Join and then play in it. I'm gonna be leaving the country soon, but I'm still gonna try to post videos as much as possible. I appreciate everyone that has stuck around, and like I said, let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, and have a fantastic night, y'all.